Welcome to Muddy River News this week. I'm Bob Gough. My guest today is Ryan Niekamp, the Adams County Clerk and Recorder. Welcome.
Hi, Bob. Thanks for having me.
It's election time again.
It is.
Isn't it always?
In my world, it is. I get like 1 minute of sleep, and then it's next cycle every time.
So early voting has begun.
Yeah.
Just started this week, and of course this is for the primary on March 17th.
St. Patty's Day, yeah.
Yeah, so I was involved in the election a few years ago. We had the primary was on St. Patrick's Day, so that was the one where when Judge Brenner won in the primary a few years ago. So yeah, I was involved in that one. So so let's talk about that. Turnout. Everybody complains about turnout, but primaries are really different animals because if you don't want to be tagged with a party label, you generally don't vote in the primary, right?
Yeah. Yeah, in Illinois, if you want to vote in the primary, unless we have a nonpartisan question, which we don't this election, you're going to be asked, do you want a Democrat ticket ballot or do you want a Republican ballot? And then, of course, that does get put on your record of how you pulled it. And
we also, this year, we do have items on both ballots. So there is something because we have multiple people running for Congress. And then, of course, we have judges' races as well. And then we have a Republican primary for governor. And so we've got stuff on both sides. And then, of course, this is an off-year election. But still, off-year elections are still busy for us because, again, we have most of the statewide slates, right?
Absolutely. All the statewide constitutional offices are up this election. Of course, we have county board races this election as well. This is kind of the unique election cycle for county board races where there's 2 seats up in every the 7 districts, so 14 of the board members are up this election. And then, of course, we can't forget the Regional Office of Education is also on the ballot. It's uncontested, but it's nonetheless on the ballot. So there's a lot on everybody's ballots this election if they want to vote in the primary.
And we also right now, though, it appears we've got some vacancies on the county board where people haven't run for some of the seats, right?
Yeah, we do. District 1, nobody filed in my office to be on the ballot, Republican or Democrat. So what will happen is after the primary, the parties will then be able to declare a vacancy in nomination because nobody was officially nominated. And then both parties have the opportunity to slate somebody to fill in for the general election in November. Same with also District 3 for the 2-year term. Nobody ran for that one either. So.
One of those seats, of course, is the seat of County Board Chairman Brett Austin, who had said 2 years ago that this was going to be his last term. So it's not he'd made this very clear. This was going to be his last run, and then so then coming up in December, you'll get to break in another chairman. It looks like
we will. No idea who it will be, but we will.
We as far as that goes in the county, one of the other we're talking primarily about elections right now, and. A lot of discussion's been made about what you need to do to vote and should people show up with IDs and all of this stuff. You feel pretty confident that your office does a good job in cross-checking and making sure everybody who's supposed to vote is supposed to vote, right?
Absolutely. We are very thorough. We do the best that we can. The number one tool that the Illinois legislators give us is verifying the signatures on everybody's application when they go and vote. So we have a panel of judges that will look at those signatures, and if they match what we have on file, they get their ballot to vote. If it doesn't, then that goes into, then we get into the panel then decide, does the signatures match? If they don't, then they actually do get asked for an ID at that point to verify the voter's identity. Very, very seldom do we ever get into that. Here in Adams County, it's always great because we have, I'd say, probably 50 to 60% of our voters just hand us their ID, and it makes it quick and easy for us. And even with that, though, you still got to verify that signature to make sure they're not handing you some random IDs, too. So
I know one issue you always have is just having the bodies, the election judges. How's your election judge count right now?
I'm glad you brought that up. We're always looking for election judges. Democrats and Republican judges are needed, especially in the county. The city's usually pretty well off. It's usually the county regions where we're always needing bodies at. For anybody that ever wants to know about how, elections run, are elections safe and secure, my rebuttal always is, number one, try to be an election judge just one time just to see the process. And a lot of times, when I challenge people, they do become an election judge, and sometimes they do it one time, and sometimes they come back every time. But we're always looking for judges. They're really instrumental in conducting the elections, making sure that they are fair and free. We do training. It's a paid position for them. It's $220 for the day.
Yeah, you've also gotten that bumped up quite a bit over the last couple of years to incentivize people.
Yes, so I have. When I took office, it was $120. So thankfully, we had ARPA that helped us initially bump it up, and then we've had a good board that has helped us maintain that. So
well, it's very important. I mean, and if you're going to have somebody who, I mean, I know it's primarily there are a lot of retirees who do this, but if you have someone else who wants to maybe make a little extra money and just say, hey, I can burn a vacation day or a personal day at my day job, and a couple $100 is a good incentive to do that. Mm-hmm. So I mean that's but it is a full day.
It is. It's nothing, no question about that. The day starts about 5:15 in the morning. And it usually doesn't end until about 8:30 at night for the judges. It's a long day. They can't leave. They got to stay there to keep protection of the ballots. But it's a good day. And a lot of the judges that do it do very much appreciate what they're doing for our community as well.
And you talk about that ballot and that integrity of the ballot, to make sure there's the chain of command, or the chain of just making sure that somebody has seen the process all the way through from the precinct back to your office. One of the things that's been talked about on the national level is the president has kind of talked a little bit sometimes about nationalizing elections and things like that, but I think that when I talk to you or I talk to other election officials, whether it's Natalie Roseberry down in Pike or some of the folks over in Missouri, you all take great pride in that. So, when when people, again, whatever side you're on, it seems like if your side lost, now we got a lot of people who want to get sore if they lost an election or whatever. But even though you are a Republican, so you hold a partisan office, but you seem to take a great pride to say, hey, this is going to be fair. We're not playing favorites here. You have people from both parties who are in monitoring the count and everything, correct?
Absolutely. Every election, we have poll watchers that get sent out, and especially all the big precincts, the Knights of Columbus, the Grandview Church, but what you brought up, the chain of custody, right? So the election judges get there bright and early, and their very first task is to verify that everything is at zero count. They have to count the number of ballots they have, because we keep audit trails on the ballots that we have on hand, the ballots that have been in the tabulator, comparing to the ballots of applications that we have. So there's tallies that go on, audits that happen all throughout the day, and we have the same people that are there from the very beginning, opening and unsealing everything, bringing them all the way back to my office. They're once at my office, and they're still locked in a bag, and then they got security cameras and everything else on them at that point too. But that's the other thing. We do take extreme pride in what we do. It's hard. What we do is really, really hard. I'm not, because this election alone, we have 74 precincts. You got 2 ballots right off the bat, Republican, Democrat per precinct. And then on top of that, we have split precincts, especially in the northern areas of our county. So, we have over 150 ballot styles to hand out and that we have to create. And to get those at the right location, to make sure they get into the right voter, there's a lot of work that goes involved. And the other thing about elections that nobody sees too, is it's not, for the voter, you show up, you tell us your name, you get your ballot, you cast your vote, you hear it clank in the machine, you get your I voted sticker, and that's about where it ends for you, right, mm-hmm. until election night. On our end, though, we're months and months in preparation for these. And what people don't see is that we're also working with our state officials. We're working with the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security. We're working with EMA on contingencies, because everything in the election world has contingencies and redundancies for if this happens, this is our plan. And it's amazing all the work that's involved, how many people are involved to make it. If the elections go really great, I'm the one everybody's praising. If they go bad, I'm the one everybody's hating on. That's the role, but I don't do it by myself, Bob.
Sure.
I have about 250 judges that I have to have that are dedicated to making this happen. I have exceptional staff in my office that make this happen. But besides that, We have the health department involved every election, EMS is involved, the sheriff's department's involved, Quincy Police Department, 911. All of these taxing agencies that we have are all there to help the voters be safe and our judges be safe.
Again, I've never, in my 30 some odd years of covering elections in our area, I've never, seen any issues or never had a problem. I know there's been times where, there was an issue where we ran out of ballots a couple of times and stuff like that, but back in the day. But now, and you also had a case years ago where the county board was kind of stingy in the spending into making sure things need to be done. But, I think now, you have all realized that this has to be done the right way. You have to print more ballots than you are needed because you just don't know, especially in a primary. There are people, again, in the state of Illinois, if you wanted in every election, hey, one election I'm going to pull a Democrat ballot, one election I'm going to pull a Republican ballot, you can do that. There's nothing stopping you from that in the state of Illinois.
Absolutely.
And because, we are in an area that is heavily Republican, sometimes there's nothing on the Democrat side. So there are some Democrats who cross over, and there have been cases where Republicans have crossed over on the Democrat side. So I look at it as you and your office must do everything on the front end. So you don't get the questions and you don't get people who come wanting to scream that something fishy is going on, because we see so much of that these days. And again, we see that on both sides. Obviously, the president seems to scream that the loudest, but we have a lot of people who seem to have issues with elections. But everything I see that on our end, in our area, I believe our election officials are doing the best job they can. I believe they are all honest, forthright, and they just want to make sure it is a free and fair election.
I really appreciate that. It's a great compliment.
Well, again, I just know there are so many people out there squawking about this stuff, and it's just like, I've observed enough elections in my day to say, okay, no, that's just not the case. Now, maybe I can't speak for what happened, years ago, and again, us, our little Chicago reputation or whatever. I just know that I know that your predecessor, it's always been really, really solid. And I know several people who are election judges, and I know they take that job seriously.
Absolutely.
And you have to. So, so that's kind of the election thing. Again, the 17th is the primary. Last thing I wanted to touch on, since I've got you here, the former board chairman spoke at the meeting, speaking to we needed a county administrator. You do a lot. The board, the office holders. I mean, you still do payroll?
No, they
moved that. They moved that. So, yep. But there's still a lot of the treasurer. You and the treasurer especially have a lot of duties that are already done. And I know you've already got someone in there in sort of a director of administrative services role, and Amy Crothers, and we've got someone that kind of does that. In your position as an office holder, number one, do you think it's needed? Number two, if it is needed, how can they help? And if it's not needed, why isn't it needed? There you go.
Well, thanks, Bob. Thanks. Here to talk about elections. Let's talk about elections. I want to go back to elections for a change. It's been something that the board's talked about for a long time. I was on the board when we created the county board office to take payroll out of the county clerk's office. I think the board right now, they're doing a lot of due diligence, looking at what statutorily is required for each of our offices. And really, I think they're just trying to help, in a lot of cases, their workload, because we have a lot of board members put a lot of effort into it. And in some cases, that's their job that they've taken. In other cases, there's just nobody else to do it. And is that fair to ask of a part-time elected county board member? I mean, the jury's out, you decide that on your own. But there's a lot that goes on the day-to-day operation. And Kent knows very well, Brett knows very well, Les Post knows very well that if you're county board chair, you're putting a lot more time in than just a couple hours a week. I mean, you're putting in, there's calls nonstop happening.
And also, if you are the chair, I mean, you're the chairman of the finance committee, you're putting in as much time as the board chairman usually. I mean, that's a job. And again, Kent had talked about back in the days when we had John Heidbreder and John Johnson doing that on their role, and they did that. And you know, I covered county board years ago when John would bust out his spreadsheets and all this stuff, and he would hand me a stack of papers to go through and things like that. I'm glad the fact that I'm really happy that it's all automated now. But again, I see that, you know, that office could do something that would mostly alleviate the role and the work that is done by those part-time board members. But I also know that statutorily, each office is its own separate entity, and each office has its own responsibility. And your office, Brian Corey's office, Todd Eiler's, pick them. They are all have the autonomy to run those offices as they see fit, because number one, that's what they're elected to do. And if the county board has a problem with it, the county board's got the budget, which they can say, okay, if you didn't do something, okay, your budget gets whacked, or hey, you're doing a great job, we'll give you what you need. So I do see a role there, but I also think that role is not, that administrator, each office holder is still their own boss. They still have their own department. And to give someone for you that would give you a helping hand in budgets, but mostly to eliminate the fact that your board chairman and your finance committee chairman, who are each paid well under $10,000 a year, have to do these things. So while or if you just take it in the current role and just bump that up a little bit more for budgets and for contract negotiations, again, this person is not going to be they're not going to be the mayor of Adams County by any stretch of the imagination. This is a budgetary, this is a functioning job which would basically look at all of the office tasks. This person is not, I don't think this person should be political in any way, shape, or form. I believe this person, and I know they wouldn't be, again, they're not an elected position. They report to the county board as a whole. And office holders have their own, again, you got your own autonomous office to run as you see fit. You are accountable to the board come budget time and the voters come election time. So, because I know there was a lot of squawking on social media about this position, and it's just like, watch it. You know, you don't even have to go to the courthouse to watch a county board meeting. You watch it on YouTube. Watch a meeting and see what goes into it. Or if you really care enough, go to a meeting, go to a committee meeting, and see what has to be done. And you can see that there is need for, you know, someone in that role, whether Amy Carruthers is given a few more responsibilities, or whether they decide to bring somebody in, or what have you. There is a need for that. But this person, you know, someone joked to me about, again, the mayor of Adams County. That's not what this is.
No, not at all.
And I think an office holder should say, hey, I'll take any help I can get, but remember, I'm accountable to the voter, and I'm accountable to the board come budget time. And I think the board knows that.
Yeah, I've been a little boisterous with the boards and committees about the position, because when I take my oath of office, I'm upholding all the laws of the land, and statutorily, it doesn't matter if I want the obligation or not. It's law gives me accounts payable, it's mine by law, right? Yeah. Elections is mine by law. It's what I run for. But there's a lot of things that I do that I think could help, like a lot of the solar stuff. We are getting inundated with solar facility requests right now. I get 2 or 3 calls a week on solar ordinance questions. Like I'm writing a lot of the ordinances for the county with the state's attorney's help.
Are you doing that with wind as well, or if we get any inquiries on those?
Yeah, we would. And a lot of that is Jim Frankenhoff, our county engineer, and I work hand in hand with those. But like getting all the committee stuff prepared right now, I'm doing all of that. Legally, I don't have to do any of that, but I do that because someone does need to be in that role to get things ready for the meeting for the board. So I am all open to looking at what creates government efficiencies, what can help us be more efficient to the taxpayer, also be more accountable to the taxpayer. So I'm always open to anything and everything. At the end of the day, though, it just has to make sense.
Right.
Fiscally and just practically.
Yeah, no question about it. So, well, all right. Well, thank you for your time. And again, I will be in touch with you frequently for the next few weeks as we get ready for our big primary day. And, of course, we'll have complete coverage here of the March 17th primary on Muddy River News. Ryan Niekamp, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Bob.
That's all the time we have for now. I'm Bob Gough. We'll see you next time on Muddy River News this week.